You're listening to the Everything Jewish 10 Minutes at a Time podcast, where you'll learn about every Jewish topic imaginable in about 10 minutes. Before we begin, I owe you a little Jewish-style apology. My Hebrew pronunciation isn't always spot on. Why? Because my voice isn't even real. It's an artificial intelligence voice. So sometimes, instead of sounding like a wise rabbi in Jerusalem, I sound more like your cousin Larry after 3 cups of coffee trying to read Hebrew karaoke. If you hear me twist a syllable or drop a letter, just smile and imagine me shrugging like, "No, what can you do?" With that out of the way, today's topic is the Kotel, also known as the Western Wall. This is not just a pile of old stones. It's one of the most iconic and meaningful spots in Judaism. Think of it like the Jewish version of the Wi-Fi router. Everyone wants to connect there. Everyone faces it, and when it's down, you feel it deeply. Let's take a fun, meaningful look at why the Kotel matters so much. The Kotel, or Western Wall, is the last remaining piece of the Second Temple complex in Jerusalem, destroyed by the Romans in the year 70 CE. That's not just a date on a history test. It's the kind of traumatic event you'd mark in bold red on the Jewish calendar. Picture this. The temple was the center of Jewish life, the place people traveled to for festivals, sacrifices, and big community gatherings. Imagine if your hometown had one stadium, one concert hall, and one giant food court, and then it was demolished. The only surviving remnant was this Western retaining wall. Jews began praying at this wall centuries ago because it was the closest accessible spot to the Holy of Holies, the most sacred inner chamber of the temple. Over time, the Kotel became more than just bricks stacked together. It became a symbol of endurance. When you stand there, you're not just touching stone. You're literally brushing against layers of Jewish history, each block whispering stories older than most countries. If you've ever seen photos, you know the Kotel looks like a massive stone wall divided into sections, with people pressed close, swaying as they pray, often leaving little notes in the cracks. Those notes are famous. Think of them as the original DMs to God, written on paper instead of typed on a phone. People jot down prayers, wishes, and hopes, everything from "please heal my grandma" to "let me pass algebra." Millions of these slips get tucked into the crevices every year, and periodically, they're respectfully collected and buried, never thrown away. What's wild is that even tourists who aren't Jewish feel moved to leave notes. The wall has that kind of magnetism. It's like going to Disneyland and realizing you just have to take a picture with Mickey. Except here, Mickey is several thousand years old, made of stone, and has seen empires rise and fall. It's both a deeply personal and profoundly universal tradition that transcends language, culture, and even religion. The layout around the Kotel is unique and, like much of Jewish life, has layers of tradition and debate. Today, the main plaza is divided by a mechitza, a barrier separating men's and women's prayer areas, in line with Orthodox practice. Men put on tefillin, talitot, and read Torah there. Women pray, sing quietly, and also slip notes into the wall. But not everyone agrees with this setup. Groups like Women of the Wall have campaigned for decades to pray there with talitot and Torah scrolls, sparking heated debates about gender, tradition, and inclusivity. To address this, a section at Robinson's Arch near the southern part of the wall is designated for egalitarian prayer, where men and women can pray together. It's a reminder that the Kotel isn't just ancient history. It's a living, evolving space where modern Jewish identity plays out. The wall has become as much about present struggles over Jewish practice as it is about past destruction. In short, it's sacred stone with Wi-Fi level controversy. Beyond its religious role, the Kotel is also a symbol of Jewish longing and resilience. For centuries, Jews scattered across the globe would face toward Jerusalem in prayer, dreaming of returning. In fact, next year in Jerusalem became the closing line of Passover Seders and Yom Kippur services. Fast forward to 1967, during the Six-Day War, when Israel regained access to the Old City of Jerusalem. Soldiers rushed to the Kotel, wept, and prayed. Photos from that moment are iconic. Young men in dusty uniforms with tears streaming down their faces as they touched the wall for the first time. For them, this wasn't just a religious ritual. It was like finally hugging a long lost family member. Since then, the wall has been a must-see stop for tourists, politicians, and even celebrities. You'll see everyone from Barbra Streisand to Pope Francis placing notes there. The wall has become a global spiritual landmark, like the Eiffel Tower of prayer, but with way more emotional depth.
Ever notice how ads always pop up at the worst moments? When the killer's identity is about to be revealed. During that perfect meditation flow. On Amazon Music, we believe in keeping you in the moment. That's why we've got millions of ad-free podcast episodes, so you can stay completely immersed in every story, every reveal, every breath. Download the Amazon Music app and start listening to your favorite podcasts ad-free, included with Prime.
We shop for everything at home now. Why can't we shop for blinds at home too? That's why I love 3-Day Blinds. Instead of wandering around a store, 3-Day Blinds sends a professional design consultant straight to you. They bring all the samples, help you see what actually works in your space, take expert measurements, and even handle the installation. We've all bought something that looked great in a store and looked terrible once we got home. With 3-Day Blinds, you see everything in your actual light, with your actual furniture, before you commit. Plus, whether you're home or away, you can control your window treatments with the 3-Day Blinds app. So for a free, no-charge, no-obligation consultation, head to 3dayblinds.com/pod50 for our buy one, get one 50% off deal. That's the number 3dayblinds.com/pod50.
One of the biggest challenges of earning a degree as a military veteran is transitioning your goals and experiences to your next phase in life. National University gets it. As a veteran-founded Yellow Ribbon School, they offer post-9/11 GI Bill acceptance, dedicated military support and advising services, and credit for your military experience. That's why 30% of their students are military affiliated. NU, education that serves those who served.
Culturally, the Kotel is a mashup of the ancient and modern. Picture the scene. You've got rabbis with long beards next to teenagers in jeans, soldiers in uniform standing beside grandmothers clutching prayer books, and tourists in baseball caps snapping selfies. It's the ultimate people-watching spot, like an airport terminal, but holier. And yet, despite all the hustle and bustle, there's this hush, this sense that you've stepped into a sacred zone. Even people who don't normally pray suddenly feel the urge. It's as if the wall radiates spiritual Wi-Fi, and your soul automatically logs in. You don't even need a password. The sheer mix of humanity at the wall captures Jewish diversity, from ultra-Orthodox to secular, Ashkenazi to Sephardi, locals to visitors from the far corners of the world. Everyone is drawn to those stones, united in a kind of spiritual gravity. It's living proof the Kotel isn't just Jewish history. It's Jewish life, happening right now. There's also something fascinating about the stones themselves. These aren't random blocks. They're massive, some weighing as much as a fully loaded airplane. The ancient builders didn't have cranes or forklifts, just ingenuity and teamwork. The lower courses, closest to the time of the Second Temple, are the most awe-inspiring, with perfectly cut Herodian stones that have stood through earthquakes, wars, and weather. When you press your hand against one, you're literally touching the handiwork of people from over 2,000 years ago. It's kind of like a time machine, except instead of Doc Brown's DeLorean, you just need your palm and some imagination. And get this, the wall doesn't even represent the holiest part of the temple. It's just the closest accessible spot we have to what once was. Yet over centuries, its holiness has magnified, a spiritual hotspot created not only by geography, but by the millions of prayers poured into it like water into thirsty ground. Of course, like everything in Jewish history, the Kotel comes with its share of drama. Who controls it? How should it be managed? Different groups within Israel and across the Jewish world have strong opinions. The Orthodox rabbinate currently oversees religious practice there, which leads to both support and criticism. For some, the wall is the ultimate symbol of continuity, sacred tradition preserved against all odds. For others, the gender divisions and restrictions feel outdated and exclusionary. And then there are political layers. The wall sits in East Jerusalem, a city central to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. So when you say the Kotel, you're not just talking about stone. You're talking about identity, sovereignty, and the heart of modern Middle East debates. It's like how pizza seems simple, but depending on whether you're from New York, Chicago, or Naples, it turns into a full-blown argument. The Kotel may be a wall, but it's also a mirror reflecting every tension and hope in Jewish life today. Despite all the complexities, people keep coming back, drawn by a mix of faith, heritage, and curiosity. Bar and bat mitzvahs happen there almost daily. Picture balloons, proud families, Torah readings, and sometimes a marching band, all happening just steps away from tourists taking photos. Soldiers gather for ceremonies, couples propose marriage, and people just come to stand in silence, soaking it all in. Even for the less religious, it's hard not to feel moved. Imagine visiting the home you grew up in, even if you haven't lived there for decades. You walk into your old bedroom, and suddenly, the memories flood back. That's what the Kotel does for the Jewish people. It's the childhood home of the soul. And because of that, it continues to be one of the most visited sites in Israel, a place where the ancient past collides with the vibrant, noisy present, creating a space that's both grounding and uplifting. So, what's the big takeaway about the Kotel? It's more than ancient ruins, more than a tourist site, more than a place of prayer. It's a symbol of Jewish resilience, unity, and connection across centuries. The Kotel has absorbed tears of sorrow and joy, whispers of prayers in dozens of languages, and footsteps of people from all walks of life. Standing there, you feel tiny and timeless at once. It's humbling and empowering, like being part of a story that's still being written. Whether you come for religious devotion, cultural identity, or just curiosity, you'll likely leave with a piece of the wall in your heart, even if you didn't tuck a note into the cracks. Thank you for listening to the Everything Jewish 10 Minutes at a Time Pine podcast. If you enjoyed this episode about the Kotel, share it with a friend who might like it, or leave a positive review so others can find the podcast. Until next time, keep learning, keep laughing, and keep those spiritual Wi-Fi bars strong.
We need to keep kids safe online, but some special interests are sending policymakers in the wrong direction, pushing the so-called App Store Accountability Act, demanding government ID from all users just to download an app, replacing parents' judgment with government mandates. It doesn't even stand up in court. A better bipartisan bill, the Parents Over Platforms Act, would put parents in the driver's seat, empowering parents and businesses to keep kids safe without drowning all of us in red tape. Tell Congress to get it done right and put parents over platforms.
Paid for by ACT, the App Association.